But the best marketing, and I tell my doctors and PAs this, for medicine, take care of the patients. Don't know all the answers or pretend you know all the answers. If you don't know, tell them you don't know, and you're going to send them to the expert who does.
Dr. Bill Prebola is a practicing medical doctor in Wilkes-Barre since 1995, with his specialty practice in rehabilitation medicine and pain management. He's a medical director of the Center for Advanced Rehabilitation at Wilkes-Barre General Hospital. He's an associate medical director at John Hines Rehabilitation Hospital in Wilkes-Barre, and he's managing partner at Northeastern Rehabilitation Associates Wilkes-Barre office. Bill has been on the Tunkhannock Area School Board for 10 years and is a president of the Tiger Fund for Excellence since 2017. Grew up in Harding, West Pittston, Pennsylvania. He loves living in Wyoming County with his wife, Mary Ann, where they've raised 4 fantastic kids who are now young adults and out there changing the world for the better, just like their parents. Listen in to hear Bill share how he manages how to do all of that while still being enormously charitable and still finding time for fun, as we ask him to go beyond the bottom line. Bill, well, I asked you here for a very simple reason. There's not a ton of people that I look up to. There's a lot of people I look around at. But it's a short list of people that I look up to. You're definitely one of those. And I don't mean to make it sound like you're like my senior or something like that. But I think I have learned a lot from you in the interaction we've had in the last decade plus. And I just thought, like, I don't know anybody else that deserves to sit in that chair and have a candid, open conversation with us about what it's like to run a small business better than Bill Prebola, Dr. Bill Prebola. I always call you Bill, but it is Doctor.
I was Billy for 28 years before that. So
I'm still Bobby.
Bob, Bobby.
Not to you, though. You call me Bobby.
I'm honored to
you.
be here. Thank you so much. And thank you for the kudos. I truly appreciate it. I know we're talking about small business, but I guess a background. I'm a kid from Harding, Pennsylvania, went to Wyoming area. Yep. I'm 62 years old. And my father was a factory worker. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. We always had things, but I would always look at look at what that guy got. Look what that guy. And my father gave me the best advice, Bob. And I know we've had this conversation. Yeah. He said, you can be a success. Just get out of bed every day and go to work and contribute. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a doctor, a business owner, a contract worker, or an employee of a company, just produce, be productive, and participate. And that's really a formula that works. So it doesn't really matter the title. It doesn't matter the area that you're in. It just, what are you contributing to the company, to society, to your family, to yourself? That's pretty much it. But
that's funny. Are you passing that down to your kids? And do they appreciate it?
It is Bob, great question. I never wanted my kids to be the spoiled doctor kids. So I always made them do chores around the house, get jobs. I've got 2 working. I still have 2 in college. So there's still some connection there, but it's great to see the kids that are working and getting a paycheck. They look at the paycheck and they go, where's all this money going?
Yeah.
Right?
That's a fun.
And it's
fun
like,
combo.
Hey, welcome to my world. But the reality is my wife, a saint, raised 4 kids and they're wonderful kids. And, it all starts with family. But getting back to the business, I was fortunate enough to go to Philadelphia, graduated from Penn, got lucky, worked hard, got into medical school, then I got a good residency. And was out of town, out west for a few years. But then I came back in 95, and that's when I started the Wilkes-Barre end of my practice in rehab medicine. And you talk about businesses, and you talk about, back in the 95 time frame, it was daunting because I started my practice with me. Like I used to put the patients in the room. I took the blood pressures, and it was all paper. There was no minimal computers.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things, you get up at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning, you go down and you hustle, you see the patients in the hospital, the doctors see you develop relationships with other healthcare practitioners. But then there's also the business of medicine, like who's going to come in and clean the baskets and who's going to, you got to straighten this stuff up at the end of the day. And then you got to schedule people. So then it starts with, hiring staff and then interviewing other practitioners. And as you grow your business, which was the model that we wanted, and I've got partners in Scranton, but I ended up opening the Wilkes-Barre end of things. You grow the business and you learn. You learn, what works for what your particular area is and what doesn't work. And then what you try to do is you gravitate to the success. I mean, that's just common sense business.
And all that stuff is changing. Like every couple of years, what was working has to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So back in 95 to 2005, it was a different metric. It was a different way of doing business. There was a different healthcare model.
Right.
So you're right. You have to be flexible and change. So over the years, you develop relationships with other small businesses, not only medical, but accountants and business advisors, and of course, lawyers. And, that, I guess those tentacles spread out and you understand what did they learn from the other guy? Not that it's double secret probation information, but it's, it's not proprietary, but it's an example of, what worked for those doctors over there or that healthcare practice. How come this hospital is struggling with this? And how can we improve patient care, everything? But we're talking about business. So the patient care obviously is number one in our group. But then you have to look at the bottom line. And as you said, Bob, the field has changed, the computers, the technology. I'm 62 years old, so I'm on the downslope of my career. The young people, I think, coming out don't have that, I guess, that experience about, just sitting on the bedside and talking to the person, because it's all hustle and bustle. And I got to plug all this, I won't say useless, but a lot of nebulous information that may not enhance the patient care, but that's the rules and regulations from our industry.
Wait a minute, man. You're also a coach, and I've been around you in the coaching mode.
Yeah.
And I don't like the term, I'm on the downslope of my career. I mean,
You
always tell the kids to run hard to that line. Do not just slow down.
But they're kids, right? They're on the upside. But it's just at a point in my life where I've been fortunate and I surrounded myself with awesome people.
So I'd love to dive into that if you would.
Absolutely.
You don't have to, I don't need the details of this, but your mindset's really interesting to me, because a lot of folks that we work with who are probably watching this are not in the building stage, but in the transition stage of their business, right? So as you start to think about how do I be, part of the job is to make yourself not irrelevant, but replaceable.
Sure.
It's a little bit humbling at the same time as it's exciting, right? And so that whenever that day is that you walk away or you come in less, the business goes on and ultimately goes on past you, right? How's that been going? Are you there?
No, I'm still, I love what I do. Obviously, everybody has bad days, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We come in and we go, this stinks today.
Yeah.
Never been there.
But the reality is I have still more better days than those not so good days.
Yeah.
I tell, I've been through so many different employees, and we have in our office in Scranton and Wilkes-Barre, we have a high retention. I think it says if people come and go from a business a lot, somebody's doing something that's not good.
Yeah.
When we get staff, they stay. The only reason they leave is they marry, they kids, they move on. There's mostly social issues as opposed to professional issues. The reason they leave. I always tell the people, because I have employed physicians, I have employed PA nurse practitioners, so physician extenders, and staff, great ancillary staff around me. I don't do the day-to-day interviews and hiring, but in the PAs and the doctors, I do, because that's my job. I'm the medical manager of the practice. So I always tell them, I go, if I'm on a hunting trip and my plane goes down, there may be a plaque, the Dr. Prebola Memorial Wing at one of the hospitals. And there'll be a picture maybe on the entrance of Northeastern Rehab in Wilkes-Barre. But you know what is absolutely going to happen? The next day, they're still going to see patients.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the hospital is still going to be open for business. And I don't mean to sound conceited, but if this practice can work without me, it sure as heck can work without you. So as long as we all understand that you're an important part of the business, of our practice, of our helping patients. But it's a reality.
Yeah.
It is a reality that life goes on, businesses go on.
I don't know if you could be making plane jokes in today's world.
Well, I know. Bad choice. Okay, my
I'm like, man, that actually
my
could
snowmobile
happen.
tips over. But the reality is, it is. It's the harsh reality of life. And one of the things, getting to maybe a little social aspect, I'm trying to have as much fun as I can right now.
Mm-hmm.
And in my business, guys, I see the unfortunate. I see the sick people. So you see that 50-year-old person that is like, hey, I want to just be with my grandkids, and now I have this medical problem, and they're facing an uphill battle.
Right.
So I tell my wife all the time, I go, hey, let's go. We're getting on a plane and we're going. I want to enjoy. And I've got great partners. They cover for me. They're like, yeah, go have fun. So
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
Speaking of partners, I mean, I know because you work with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there are some folks out there that don't want a partner. I think on another podcast with Maria and another guest and I mentioned that very well-known person from the Valley mentioned that you should always do anything you can to not have a partner. I think I function better with partners, the right partners. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on on partnerships, whether it's one or many, wrong ones, right ones? What do you look for in a partner?
Well, so
or what do you aware
so medical
of?
practice. I mean, I've got to put the medical practice hat on, and it's in my Wilkes-Barre practice. I know in Scranton, my partner, the managing partner there is Dr. Ken Gentileza, and he's the reason I joined Northeast Rehab. I knew him. I was a med student. He was a resident at Penn, so we stayed friends in the beginning, and then I moved back here. It's a team.
Mm-hmm.
Partners are team members, and you said I'm a coach,
Yep.
right? And I'm an ex-football player from high school through college. And that mentality of the team is really important in a business. So I believe, as you said, Bob, I like partners. I'm a guy that in my business model, partners work. And it's partners who contribute to the process.
Mm-hmm.
And you have fair, open, honest discussions, and that works. We've had to fire doctors. Doctors are not above being terminated when things just don't work out and the chemistry's not there. And I'm not talking medical. I'm talking about the business end of things. Fire is a bad word, I guess. It's just like the relationship ends. It's just, it's not working out. So we've got the 4-month clause, and good luck to you. But you bring up the point. I love partners. In a business model, I think that's super important. Now, challenges, you talk about how come that one gets this? I mean, sometimes partners can, I won't say point fingers, Bob, but
compare.
Yeah, compare, which is the thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that there is the, why. And then it's an open and honest conversation that partners have to have. So who's contributing what and what the value is. And I think, especially, I will say that, I'm looked at as a senior partner because I'm one of the 4 guys that started our practice in 1992 it started, and I came on in 1995.
Wow. And
then we've got some other partners that have been less than 10 years. And sometimes it comes up in different partnership meetings, and I understand where they're coming from. How come you get it? I go, well, because everybody knows me in Wilkes-Barre. I used to go to every hospital, and, I tell the young partners, I go, I don't need to go to the Christmas parties anymore. I know there's doctors I go, who's that one? Because they're the young people that are, internal medicine. Yeah. And I tell my young partners, go and visit with them. Don't go to Dr. X, who's been in practice for the past 20 years. He and I have been working together. Go to the new doctors and expand your book of business in that realm. So it's almost as if we have little practices, little business models within Northeast Rehab.
Yeah. Okay. So it's almost like I keep saying in my mind, I'm picturing the Brady Bunch, but most people aren't old enough to know what the Brady Bunch. But it started.
Hopefully our audience is.
It started with the mom and the dad, and then it's the kids, and it's just like a splinter effect, right? And I think about, and I know you're in this boat. I think about the success I've had in my own business, and I think about if I kind of do the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon and kind of like, how did that person become a client or some sort of a resource for our company? It's because I trace it back. It's because at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock on a Thursday night, I went to the Kiwanis meeting, or I volunteered to do this on a Saturday or Sunday, and it finally paid off. It might have taken a year, it might have taken 10 years, but eventually I've had people literally come in and say, I see you at a bunch of things, and I've always thought when I'm ready, I'm just going to come talk to you. But that's so fulfilling, right?
Yes.
And I know it fits you because when I go anywhere, damn it, there's Bill again. He's here before I am. You're involved.
Marketing. Right?
Yes, marketing 101.
So that's
building your network.
That's your deal. So I learned over the years, and we actually had marketers come in, and we did the billboard thing, and we did a commercial on TV. It was okay, but the best marketing, and I tell my doctors and PAs this, for medicine. Yeah. Take care of the patients. Don't know all the answers or pretend you know all the answers. If you don't know, tell them you don't know, and you're going to send them to the expert who does. Yeah. Our business model has been successful because we get the family members of family members of family members. And whether we cure their ailment, because I'm in pain management rehab, so sometimes it's not a cure, it's a manage. And those are the ones that, if you give them the extra 7 minutes in the office, look at the pictures of the grandchildren, and then say, Emma, I got to do some medicine on you. I can't just be BSing with you. And then you get their nephew. And then, or are you taking a new, I'm not taking new patients unless someone calls and begs, but it's like, no, Dr. Connor, he is my young gun. I will send my wife to him to have the evaluation. So marketing 101 for medicine is take good care of patients.
I have a marketing agency and we don't market ourselves. We just focus on doing a good job, do the best job we absolutely can, build a relationship. Again, if we are not the perfect fit, refer to somebody else who is. And over time, the referrals just come in. We don't have to market ourselves at all.
Yeah. And you are good at it. That's how we became customers and friends.
Our team
works.
Fab,
So it's a network. You develop that network of small business. We talk about small business. I think you mentioned it before the interview. It's the backbone of our country, isn't it?
It really is.
Major life and business changes can really shake things up for worse, and sometimes, I believe, for the better. As a certified neuro coach, I know that when we are in an area of transformation in our lives that we did not choose, or maybe we did, we're bumped up against our comfort zone. And when that happens, our subconscious mind gets louder and louder and tries to pull us back to where we feel safe. But I know as a certified neuro coach that this is the perfect time to take this transformation and turn it into something that you desire, something that you want. This is the perfect time to rewire those old limiting beliefs that have gotten in your way, and let's break free from that in this time of transformation and make it work for you. Let's turn this into a magical moment. I would love to hear from you. You can book a call on my website at mariaconaglero.com. Let's make this transformation last.
How do you feel personal passion plays into growing a business, staying in business, especially when things get hard?
Wow, that's a great question. Early on, I just had the passion to be successful. Don't think I ever told you this story. My daughter was 3. And I can remember I'd go at 4:30 in the morning, and I wouldn't get home until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So I'd be eating dinner, and I can remember my wife being upset, saying, "Hey, if you're not here, I'll go to Philadelphia during the week with my parents, and then I'll come home on the weekend." It's like, life hit me. So then it was like, okay, I'll just do 12-hour days, and that's livable. But it's not only the patient care, but it's also the business model. So my passion was to be successful and do a good job. It's corny, but I took the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, try to help people. So that medicine, I really enjoy what I do. And that business, I really enjoyed growing the business.
Yeah.
And I know Bob is this kind of employer. I know it. And that's why I'm here. I believe good business leaders care more about their employees than they care about themselves. You talk about me slowing down now. One thing that just hits me in the back of my mind is if I slow down or stop,
take care of
my employees, what happens to them?
Yeah, who's going to take care of my employees? Yeah.
I mean,
So it used to be one family, right? My
Yeah.
wife and I, now there's 20, well, actually there's
Yeah.
like 35, 40 families. When
We
you
have
count.
162 employees.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah, between Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and our Allentownish
Yeah.
office.
And then patients too. Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I used to know most everybody, but I go to the Christmas party and I walk in and I'm like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? You know, and they've been there with us or the company for 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
You know, billing, grow, you know, things like that. So it's not as
So Bill,
small.
when you look back at, I don't like this talk like you're near the end of this career or something. So
No,
like,
I'm not. It's just
but
that,
you've done,
yeah.
He's
per your
seasoned.
numbers, if I'm good at math, it's close around 30 that
Yeah.
you've built this, you know, with others involved too. When you look back at over that span, and now that your kids are in their 20s now, right? I think all 4, right?
Yes.
Yep. Do you think that balance between life, like family, and work, do you think you know, it wasn't perfect all overall, but you think you struck the right mix there? Because I think a lot of small business owners always struggle with that.
Yeah. It is a struggle, but I don't think I'd change a lot because you mentioned before coaching. You know, when my kids got of the age that, you know, the 6th, 7th grade, you know, when you start participating a little bit, you know, I chose to be a football coach and a track coach here in Tunkhannock. So I made the time, and it gets back to good partners. You know, great coverage. So if I'm not there, somebody's going to see the patient in the hospital. I mean, I'm 40 minutes to the Wilkes-Barre hospitals from where I live. So, but yeah, the balance was there, Bob. For me, it was. I made it work. I did. I made it work.
And a great partner at home, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You talk about 27 to 21, 4 kids. And my wife and I talked about, do you remember the days where she was taking Billy to soccer, I was driving Mike to karate, then we would have to you know, and then, not that it was good, but it was pizza, wings, burgers, and, you know, rarely a family sit-down meal. But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I did have a good balance, Bob. I really did.
Yeah. This would be a great time for me to tell anybody watching, and you never learned this lesson. If you're going to get involved in your kids' sports, assistant coach is the number one position for a parent to get, because you don't have the responsibility of figuring out what to do at practice. You're sort of a chaperone. Yeah, and you don't have to sit on the sidelines. You can be involved. So for me, that was very balanced. Yeah. But you're always, I'll take as much responsibility.
Yeah, I wasn't a head coach, but within the Tunkhannock system, I was like a helper coach like you. It was really nice. It was good.
Involved, 100%. So I'm sorry, I'm digressing back to our days on the side of the football.
Yeah, yes, that's right. The mini football. Those were the great days, though.
So what else? So if you have someone, let's say, wanting to level up their small business, you know, and the majority of people probably are not in the medical field watching this, but some are. But so we'd have a wide variety of folks watching. So do you think, how do you level up? How do you start saying, hey, I'm ready to take it to that next level versus just going through the motions?
You know, one of the things, and I guess we'll just come back a little bit about success in small business. How many times have you learned from your mistakes? Mistakes that cost a lot of money, where you're like, oh my God, how am I going to make that up? I mean, in our practice, you know, it was the wrong program or something, or we just didn't see how the insurance industry would change the payment, and we weren't ready for that. So you have to, I believe, anybody who's ready to take it to the next level. So I'll just say mom and pop size, and then like, where do we go? Where's that line? And I think any small business leader should probably look at the mistakes that they feel they made, whether it's he, she, family, business, whatever. Where did we make our mistakes? Because you don't want to, as you say, level up to that next, you know, where you got now the employees are coming in. I think the other thing that you have to look at as a small business owner, now once again, I only have the medical model, but I think it works for everybody, is what's your book of business? Do you have enough business to expand? Meaning, you know, are you building it and then hoping they're coming? Or are they out there and we got to go get them?
Yeah.
So I think because that sometimes ego can get in the way.
Absolutely, it can.
Yeah.
Both ways.
It does. It works both ways.
It can.
You're
It
right,
can
Marie.
stop you from progressing because you're afraid to fail and you're afraid to look at your mistakes. Your ego's too big to say, oh, I made that mistake. It's easy to bury your head in the sand sometimes. Yeah. I see that a lot with my coaching clients, but that's interesting. I love that.
So this past weekend, my son's graduating from Penn State, right?
Oh, congrats.
And I thought it'd be fun, and he was all in on it. So we signed up for a 3-day webinar. So it started Friday and late in the day, and then went all the way through Sunday. And I thought, there's no way he's going to stay on this thing, right? And he did. And we were texting during the webinar and everything. But some things came up that I thought were interesting pertaining to this conversation, which was, I mean, there were a couple thousand people on this, and the company promoting it was all about sign up for our $10,000 program and we'll show you how to go buy businesses. Okay. And they made it sound like, in fact, they literally were saying at one point, it's really don't really worry about the price when you go buy something. You'll figure out how to make it work. And don't worry about the money. You can always find the money. And then most of the people they had on telling stories were saying, if I could redo it again, I would have gone bigger on my deals. And, my son was at first going, wow, this sounds like amazing. And I'm like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I wanted him to see if he was curious and wanting to learn more. So that's one thing. But in general, if we're talking to a lot of small business people with this audience, I think they do need to be aware of risk. It's not just, I love that passion drives you forward. And you can push through things with that kind of passion, but you can also run into a freaking brick wall. Yeah. If you're not picking your head up every once in a while and saying, why am I doing this? What is the end game here, right? So you don't grow from one guy to 160 some folks working alongside you without recognizing when, hey, we were fighting a good fight here, but this has got to be a dead end. We'll redirect.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. And I think the issue, it kind of comes back to what we just talked a little bit about. Are you building something and then hoping they're going to come? Or is that out there and you just have to go take your slice? I think there can be, like you said, the fear of keeping your head in the sand, but there's also the fear of like, am I really going to make this happen? So there's that risk. Yeah. I am of the model of that market's got to be there and then I'll develop the program to go get it as opposed to building something and hoping they come. I know something that's out there. Let's say in my business world, nursing home patients that need rehabilitation, that the big insurance carriers, they're sending them because there's a contracted rate that's less, but they still need my services in that facility. Is it easy? No, because I've got to go to 3 places instead of just one. Mm-hmm. So I've got to understand, the time management, or any business owner, any physician. I'm giving you this model because this is the one that I know. Is my time worth it to go capture those patients? Then can I develop it to where I need to hire another healthcare provider to go do that while I go get 3 more, if the business is there. So then you build into what you can go capture, as opposed to hiring 4 healthcare providers at an outrageous salary and hoping that you can get them in those facilities. So that's just like, I'm giving you an example of, the model that would work for me.
So that's interesting because a lot of times as people try to scale up, they actually take themselves out of doing the business and they're working on the business. And if you don't have that backfill, you're in an interesting spot because you still see patients.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of patients while also doing more of the strategic kind of
management, things. Right.
Yeah, that's hard for some people to do. Growing up in contracting, you get our family, if you were in the office doing paperwork, you were very skilled at building things. And if you're there doing paperwork, then you have to find somebody that still has that high quality of building. That's hard to do. But in your situation, you're still doing both.
I slowed down on building the business, and I use the example of, and I've got, like I said, great partners and great PAs. We have 20 physicians, I want to say 26 PA nurse practitioners within our community from Scranton down to South Wilkes-Barre in our practices. I always tell people, I go, listen, I've got this pizza pie. So the pizza pie I made, it's delicious pizza, and I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to give you half of it. I want you to keep making your pizza pie, but start with the half that I'm giving you. Mm-hmm. And then what I do is I go make another pizza pie, and then I got 1.5 pizza pies. Mm-hmm. And I know that's a crazy, restaurateur, small business idea, but I tell the people in my practice, hey, I'm willing to help you, but now you make some more pizza. You contribute to the meal on your own. And I think we talked about, like, I've been in Wilkes-Barre in medicine. I know all the quote unquote older physicians. We've got great working relationships. So my new doctors, I want them to go meet the new doctors that are in the community as well to develop those relationships.
It's so important. It is so important building that network.
You have, it's an interesting concept. So I think and I see this in my industry all the time, you're trying to make it for people that can go out and start their own business. Why wouldn't they do that versus join right alongside yours that you already have? And so I like the pizza pies. I might steal that from you.
Yeah.
I'm like a quarter Italian. Can I steal that?
It's almost, yeah. Think of it though, really. It's like a business within a business or a cost center within a big
center.
cost center. Right. I mean, you could, I don't know the business lingo about it, but I call it like, this is my the spigot that goes into my pot. And I got other spigots off the pot that go to, but I got to keep that baby full.
Yeah.
So the more spigots I got going into my pot, great. That's the whole idea. And, it's a great model that worked for me over the years. And I do. I think Northeast Rehab, from what Dr. Gentilez, Dr. Wolk, Dr. Basting up in Scranton, those were the three guys that started. And I started Wilkes-Barre. I brought in a Dr. John Klein and a Dr. Pandy and now Dr. Connor. Great people, all participating different areas of the practice, but we get along so well. And we're coming full circle to the partnership thing. I think when you get great partners and great staff around you, and hard work, you got to throw the hard work in there. Because if all you do is sit in the doctor's lounge and drink coffee, you're not seeing patients, you're not making any money. That's the medicine thing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. If you have a beautiful computer in a business and you don't have any clients in your book, it doesn't work.
Yeah. I kind of want to touch on that because I actually personally just had this conversation 48 hours ago about having the right partnership. Somebody I was talking to was wondering about some of the details, and my answer was, we don't have it worked out yet. And but what are you going to do for that? I was like, this is a great example. Before we enter into anything, I think you need to understand that no matter what we sort out today, it's just kind of like building a house. You build your dream house, 6 months later, you're like, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. Life changes, right? So what you have to be comfortable is that the partners are truly a partnership. There's a mutual respect with each other. There's strong communication, and you have to be willing to compromise. Sometimes you'll be the odd one out, and you have to believe that the collective, for the good of the firm or the good of the company, will move it forward. It's hard to do, though. So are there any characteristics in partners that you maybe think I want to avoid, or that like stand out as like, oh, this is a person that like, I mean, you have to have the same goal, the common value. And like, is there anything have you had that you want to speak of that you kind of like red flag right off the bat?
I mean, it's a tough, complex question. I think you touched a little bit. You have partnership agreements and you have contracts, and that's all fine and dandy, but they're only used when the crap's hitting the fan and you run home to the rule book.
Right. Yeah.
You said it. I think you have to get along personally with no matter what. You're working 8 hours a day in an office or a whatever, building somewhere or interacting. You have to be able to get along with your coworkers, but more so, we're talking small business partnerships.
Right.
The goals have to be the same. And what I mean by that is in medicine, good medical practice, good knowledge, take good care of patients, and have a good reputation. And so, you develop that. Now, just because someone walks in the office doesn't mean they become, in our practice, a partner. They work towards it. So there's that courtship period. I would imagine in small businesses, you don't just hire 4 partners unless you get together from a company, you break off from a bigger company. But usually there's a courtship period. And I think within that year or two, you kind of get to know if your work ethic is the same, your goals for the business are the same, your goals for your personal life. When we were young partners, our kids were all about the same age. We used to get together all the time. Now, we've grown away from that because, there's several of us in early to mid 60s, and our kids are, as we said, 20s. But I think the paper and the partnership agreement is great, but I think you have to have that good personal relationship with your partners.
Yeah. I mean, I have some great partners, and I always say there's always some sort of combination of, if these 2-3 agree, it outweighs the other person or people. And my point is always, you just don't want it to come to that.
Yeah.
You really want to just, it should, for most matters, you should be able to openly talk about it and make a strong case. And then everybody almost unanimously, if not fully, jump on board. But
Yeah. So do both of you have values defined in the culture of your workplaces?
written out.
Yeah. Like vision, values
I don't.
to keep as a core
Ask a different
guiding
question.
principle.
Nothing written.
Mhm.
I will tell you that we have quarterly partner meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, sometimes it's a gripe session,
Mm.
which is okay.
Mhm.
It's good,
Sure.
but there's nothing written.
Okay.
And I think that a good partnership like we have, there's 13 partners. If somebody seems to be getting off the reservation because there are life changes,
Mm-hmm.
One of the senior guys might give somebody a call and just be like, "Hey, Bob, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
Like, is there something that we need to know or that we can help you with?"
Yeah.
And
It's
I
like
think
an unspoken.
Yeah. I've got great
code.
partners. I'll give you an example. I had a big back surgery in 2016 and I missed a lot of work. My partners were like, "Don't worry about it." Because we have to, you cover overhead and things. I was like, I'm laying in my hospital bed, like, how am I going to? And they're just like, "Don't worry about it. It's covered." And then someone else had something else and we were like, "Yeah, just talk to this. It's
Mhm.
covered. Don't worry. Your family's not going to starve and we're going to work it out." Those are good partners.
And that sets the tone for the rest of the organization.
Sure.
Yeah. You're leading by example.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm going to do what he said.
It's funny because we talk about the business, right? So of course I'm going to digress here a little bit. So like I tell my kids, like, you got to do this. Look, you're talking to me like I'm an employee. I go, no, if you were an employee, you'd have been fired long ago. So we joke in our family, and we really know my wife's the boss, but she's not going to listen to this. I hope no. But it is. We laugh a little bit. It's like, you are such a control freak. I go, well, there's two ways to get it done. There's the wrong way and there's my way. How do you want to do it? Chuckle.
Yeah. Now that's why she doesn't listen to
That's
it.
right. She doesn't.
What am I going to hear on that podcast that I haven't heard 50 times every day? So as your wealth builds, so does the amount of pressure that surrounds you, right? Maybe your income is still higher than ever and your business has more revenue than ever, but you're also thinking about your family, your employees and their families, debts that you need to pay off, taxes that you want to minimize, cash flows to track, all while trying to stay excellent at your job and innovative within your industry. Our team at Stonehouse helps you manage your personal wealth, whether it's in your retirement plan, your business, or any other place. While you're busy out there conquering the world and trying to take care of others, don't forget about taking care of yourself. Contact Stonehouse to see how we can help make your life better.
Yeah.
So a quick question on this. So you are involved in a lot, you've done a lot, you're still doing a ton. What's the importance of the word no? I find that as I've progressed through my career, I tried to say yes as often as possible. But with success becomes you just get spread out. And I start thinking to myself, maybe I should say no a little bit more. I know there's a lot of folks out there that are in that boat. I know there's a lot of folks that almost never say yes. Like we talk about charity. We just filmed a video here earlier about charity. It's very easy to walk away and not get involved. But I think a lot of the success I have today is because we've plowed a lot of time and capital into the community that we work in. So what do you feel about saying no?
You're right. I mean, I'm a tough one. I probably say no more in the last 3 to 5 years than I have throughout my professional life. And it's not because you're a bad person. And I think that's where the guilt sometimes comes in. Like, Bobby Brown said no. He's not going to do it. Or Billy Prebola said no. Yeah. But the reality is, I think for I guess your peace of mind, quality of life, like as you get older in your business career, sometimes saying no is actually a good thing. I think when you're early in your business career, yes, in my mind just means it reflects hard work. Mm-hmm. So we talked about charity, I know before, and there is that giving back to the community. All the meetings, the business speakers, when you're young and hungry and working hard, if someone says, "Hey, would you give a talk at the Chamber of Commerce?" Of course, why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. If you want to, as you said, spread your network out, like that's the way to get out. In my world, it was giving community talks about osteoporosis, giving of going to a nursing home or an assisted living where there's 80 captive people and talking about back pain. Everybody has back pain, right? So if you said no when you're 35 years old, you're shooting yourself in the foot. That's a reflection of hard work, as opposed to waking up in the morning early, going in rounds, and then like the last thing I want to do is go give this talk at such and such facility. But that's where the business then comes in. But as we get older, Bob, I think saying no is maybe healthy in some respects for you as a person.
Yeah. I would also add to that. I agree with everything you just said. I would add that if you have some team members around you can say no, but you can say, you know what, I'm not the person in our office for that, but I'll ask Lisa if she'll go with you or whatever. I don't have a Lisa.
That's a great point. I mean, and it gets back to partners, and then I don't want to be age discriminate, but the younger people, I want them to be hungry. I love it when the new employees say, I'll stay and see that person because, Bob, in our business, and you're entrenched in this community, I'm entrenched really in the business community in Wilkes-Barre. It's an honor to get the call to see the bank president of such and such with whatever pain. It's an honor to see the provost of Wilkes University, and you're the only one that can help them, which is not true, but it is. It's an honor, and it's a blessing. And it's, I won't say a curse, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I gotta do that because Bobby Brown did me the favor. Bob called me, asked if I can see his aunt who's visiting in from out of town, and it's your godmother,
Aunt Bundy.
Right. but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I think there is that slap on the back, so to speak.
Yeah, it's the I get to mentality versus the I have to mentality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I get to.
So Maria, with all your coaching and everything you do, when you
I'm
look at this specimen here, are you impressed, or do you want to like dig into what he's thinking about?
No, I'm impressed. I know that you have a success mindset, an abundance mindset. I can tell that you learn from challenges and mistakes. You probably don't believe in failure as a negative thing.
That sounds right.
That you are able to alchemize any issue into a challenge and another opportunity to improve and grow and expand, even if it means a teachable moment for someone else or it means business expansion. So I think he is the ideal.
Whoa. Now, I'm pumping the brakes on this.
I love you guys. I need your dresses for the Christmas presents. I'm gonna say one thing. And I am an ex-athlete, and
really?
Everything in my life has I've learned so many great lessons.
Yes.
And I can sit here and tell you a lot of the old war stories, but there's a few things in my mind over the years that you go, God, I learned. And every learning, and this is so cliche, it's all the mistakes and it's all the failures.
Yeah.
My head football coach was Paul Marenka. Paul Marenka was in high school football in Wyoming. He's a legend. He's in the Coaches Hall of Fame. And when you're 17 years old, and you're reading your name in the paper every now and then, you think, I am really good. I am so good. And I tell this story. My father was a factory worker. My father just, loved to see us play. That was the thing to do back in the 80s, late 70s. And I can remember getting recruited by different schools and for football. And it came down to Lafayette and Army and then Penn. Now, I didn't know anything about Ivy League. What is that? I mean, I'm a kid in Harding, right? We had one car. And I can remember Paul Marenka, who I love to this day, and I tell him this all the time, I thank him all the time, that when I met, University of Pennsylvania football was like 2-27 for the 3 years before I was going there. And I was like, I don't want to get on a losing team. They suck. I mean, Wyoming area football, you're used to winning. Like, if you were behind at halftime, everybody's yelling at each other like, we don't do this. And I can remember Paul Marenka sitting me down, and he was like, I think I'm going to go to Lafayette. They're telling me I'm going to play. And Lafayette's a great college. Don't get me wrong. And Army, of course, is a great institution. But the Ivy League, Paul Marenka was like, what do you think about Penn? And I said, Coach, they suck. I don't want to go there. And he looked right at me and he said, Billy, you're never going to amount to any kind of football player in college. You're going to Penn.
Ooh.
So I left the meeting and I went home. My dad said, well, what did Coach Marenka tell you? I go, well, he said, I'm not going to be much of a football player and I should go Penn. And my dad said, well, he never steered you wrong. You might as well go. And that's the God's honest truth. That's why I went to the University of Pennsylvania, and that education, that Ivy League education, I was so lucky and so fortunate to have that direction, but it was a hard truth.
Wow.
I was above average in college. I wasn't, a bench warmer.
I was going to say, did you turn the team around? Did you win?
We did. We
You
won
did?
2 Ivy League championships. Yeah. So, but it wasn't
I
me.
love
It was the culture.
yeah.
But my point is,
You're part of that culture.
I remember that. And it was like,
Mhm.
no, don't you read the Dispatch? I'm in the newspaper every Sunday. The local-
Coach,
it's like,
better say
like the county examiner, right? You're in the paper. Yeah.
The world was
you remember
smaller
those
back then,
things.
but
Yeah.
he had a good sight on it. So I'm a believer. I love my friends and people around me having confidence, but it's gone a little too far here. So let me ask you your faults.
Oh, wow.
What do you think that you're not that great at? And maybe what weren't you that good at maybe earlier on in your career that you said, I got to get better at this?
I have the exact answer early in my career. I was a doer manager. So it was just easier for me to get it done the right way. So the people who I surrounded when it wasn't really going right, I was impatient and I didn't have a good leadership manager skill of like kind of fostering them to get it done the way, as the boss, I mean, I joke, my way or the wrong way, right? It was just easier for me to do it the way that I wanted it done. And that was a terrible management skill. So I learned over the years that no, you surround yourself with good people. It's kind of like raising your kids. You got to let them experience it and maybe fail a little bit and then kind of do it the quote unquote right way. So my management style early in my practice was not good.
So is your tombstone going to say Bill Prebola had a lot of patience, but he had no patience?
Yeah. Actually, I hope my tombstone says a great father, husband, coach.
Aw.
I could care less about the doctor on this tombstone, to be honest with you. And that's the truth. I think you got to be like grounded. Yeah. So that's the biggest mistake, I think.
I think that's we probably should end it there. That was actually a
Yeah.
great.
That was a mic drop moment.
Yeah.
That is. That's
But there is some
truth.
truth to that, right? I
We've
mean,
thought about
really,
that.
when you think about it, and I don't want to get all gushy here, but
This is
like,
the place,
Gush it
brother.
up.
yeah, but why are we here, right?
Yeah.
Why are we doing what we're doing? It's great to make money. Don't get me wrong. Every business owner, it's great to
Exactly.
make money. It's great to have things that I didn't have. And my wife and I talk about, are we spoiling our kids by what we quote unquote gave them? But isn't that what you want to do, right? You want to provide a better life for your children and your family. But really, it gets down to like, why are you here? And then you can work 20 hours a day. And if that's what floats your boat, then great. But I mean, I learned with that when my daughter was young and Billy was like a year old. I was like, whoa, I really got to slow down. And I did. I enjoyed the kids growing up.
Mhm.
And I worked around. I mean, going after the mini football games on Sunday to make the rounds at 4:00 in the afternoon until 9:00 at night. But
It does feel like it picks up speed, doesn't it? Life.
it does.
I don't know. It's
It
when
does.
my kids are graduating college,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute.
Mm.
And I see parents on the weekends, come in the restaurants where I'm having breakfast, and they're just getting done with their 8:00 in the morning little indoor soccer thing, and they're all
Yeah,
like,
that's
the
me.
kids,
That's where
sweaty.
I'm
Yeah,
at.
Is that where you're at?
Yeah.
and
they're
I'm like,
8
I
and
wish
9.
I could do
Yeah.
that again.
It's the best time.
Yeah.
It's a
It is.
fantastic.
It's the
Yeah, I
best
have to
time.
go right to a basketball game after this, actually. Yeah, I'm on a tight timeline
Yeah.
It
here,
was the
guys.
best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yeah, it was. Once again, we're talking small business, but family is where it's at, right?
Family is everything,
It
yeah.
is. It is.
Mhm.
And health. You
Health.
can't buy the health, and it's just it's one of those things that I think that's what you work for, right?
Yeah.
To enjoy life. You just talked about we talked about charity before. There's part of that, and everybody you talk about the work-life balance. Years ago I used to like work-life balance. It was work,
Yeah.
but there's some truth. Not some truth. There's a lot of truth to that.
Don't you feel like a small business owner has to you're basically a conductor of your life, right? You are, and there are times where you, much like your body, your human body does, right? When it sends extra blood to the part of your body that needs it at the time, it pays extra attention. So there's times like, but if you completely deny and ignore certain things of your life, probably won't be there.
Mhm.
Or it won't be like it was with last time you paid attention to
Mhm.
it. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, I got all heavy and mushy on that. I don't mean to get that.
No,
way.
I-
That's-
Guys,
but I
it's
think
Beyond
that's
the
important.
Bottom Line podcast. This
That's
is
right.
what we are here for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a perfect thing. When at the end of that webinar that my son and I were on about, he was just like, it seems like we should just go and buy and go all in. Like, let's go. And I said, just hold on a second. Pump the brakes. You know, I don't want to rob the enthusiasm. But I like that that's ignited, you know, and who knows where it plays out. But I think a lot of small business owners, I get nervous when I see, I mean, I'm watching on that video, I'm watching the people on the screen. And it looks to me like a lot of those people are going to have a hard time rubbing $10,000 out of their pocket, grabbing it and handing it over. And it's, you know, I don't know if they're ready. And I just worry about, we counsel people financially, right? So that's what I do for a living, but I worry about that. But working smart and being very realistic, knowing that you're going to get down at times. When you get down, who do you turn to?
My wife.
Mm.
Yeah. She's the rock.
Yep.
So she doesn't understand maybe the lingo that I'm using, but she understands my tone and my feelings. I mean, we've been married for 32 years, so it's like, you know, we know. Yeah. But she's the one I go to. When my father was alive, we've had discussions about this before, Bob. He was the guy that was, you know, a factory worker, the wisest man I knew. Not educated, but the wisest man that I knew. So those were the two people that I think, you know, through my life, I'd always kind of bounce things off of. So from a professional standpoint, and then, I'm really very close with my partner in Scranton, Kenny Gentilez. He's a good friend, and so we kind of bounce things off each other, especially when it gets bumpy.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that you need a couple of people as a guide rail in your life, right?
Absolutely.
Even if you don't know it, sometimes you're going off course and you need to have somebody bump you back on. Yeah. But anyway. Brother, I really appreciate you.
Hey, this was awesome. I love this.
Was great.
Yeah. Give me a microphone anytime, Bob.
I know.
You know, but it is. I love meeting with you, Bob, and you and I have been friends for a long time.
Well,
so
last night, this was a very spontaneous interview, and Maria was like, "So, what do I need to know about Bill?" I'm like, you don't need to know anything. He's super comfortable. He's one of the nicest guys, and he's super open about everything. And you came through.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We have time to get you to your basketball game.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
Where are you going after this?
Home.
There you go.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Timed it right.
Yeah. I just worked this morning, but now the rest of the week is going to be cranking busy. So I was on call this weekend, so it took a little easier today.
There's a lot of people that probably got a lot out of this, so I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed it.
I'm so honored to be sitting here across from you today. Thank you.
It was awesome.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Beyond the Bottom Line. Thank you for listening. If this conversation sparked something for you, please let us know. Follow, share, or leave a review. It helps us keep having the conversations we love that you love to listen to. We'll be back in 2 weeks with more real talk from real leaders. Until then, here's to feeling successful beyond the bottom line.